About a month ago, I did a video called the top 5 products that I sell out at every single market. Well, this video is a follow-up to that of the next 5 products that I sell at every single market and often sell out of. So let's talk about those 5 products and how you can make them at home, making a big profit. Let's get making. My first project I'm going to do are wooden figurines. These are a decor item that sit on your desk or a decor around the house. I'm going to go ahead and make them out of walnut on the CNC, but you could use your bandsaw or jigsaw once you have your shape. In this case, I'm doing a whole bunch of aliens for my UFO fest coming up. I'll go ahead and use the downtown Jenny 1/4 inch bit and cut out these on the CNC. Once they're finished, I'll go ahead and take them over to my router table and I'll use a 3/16 round over bit to add a round over to all of these to give it a nice finished look. To finish these, all I do is wipe them down with tung oil. It's a food-safe finish and it's easy to apply. Just one coat and these are good to go. It pops out the color and while making it food-safe, so if kids get a hold of these, you don't have to worry about the finish that's on them. These are easy to make, easy to sell. I sell them at all of my craft fairs, especially my themed markets, so UFO Fest or Sasquatch Fest. But the Sasquatch, for example, sells year-round at my retail partners down at the Oregon coast. So it's something that I sell all year round, and they're very quick to batch out and make on the CNC. The next product we're going to talk about are Yahtzee boxes. Now, these are a game box that I sell that I make here on the CNC. First, I cut out a 7-inch wide by 15-inch long piece of alder. I find alder works really well because it is a hardwood, but it cuts really easily out on the CNC, and it's pretty inexpensive while still giving me some different grain and look in the wood itself. So once they're cut out, I cut them all out with a downtown Jenny bit. That's our 1/4 inch downtown Jenny bit. I cut out both sides at the same time. You'll have a pocket for cards, your pocket for your pen, your dice, and then a rolling area as well. So let's go assemble these and I can show you how they're made. Once I've cut the Yahtzee boxes out on the CNC, I go ahead and bring them over to my router table and I'll add a 3/16 round over across the entire piece. From there, I go ahead and put in magnets into the box on both the top and the bottom so that they will magnetically plop together. And then I have my spot for my cards, which will go in first. I've got 6 dice, and you can buy these on bulk on Amazon in large quantities or on Temu as well. I then put a whiteboard marker, and then I'll print out a Yahtzee card on one side and 10,000, the game 10,000 instructions on the other, with a blank spot for scoring for card games and 10,000. I will run this through a laminator so it's laminated, and then you can just wipe it clean when you're done. The Yahtzee box or scorecard, I'll change instead of game 1 through 4, I'll put player 1 through 4. So you use 1 scorecard for 4 players. I'll put that on top, and then I just put this in the box. I'll use my laser to go ahead and laser the Yahtzee 10,000 logo on the box. I also make a version that I call Squatch-Z for my local markets and themed areas as well, since I live in the Pacific Northwest and Sasquatch is a big deal out here. Our next project are salt cellars. They're a great beginner CNC project or intermediate woodworker, as you're going to use a bunch of different tools in this process. I'm going to cut a section of 1/4 walnut and bring it on over to the bandsaw. Then I'm going to go ahead and resaw it, as I want my top of my salt cellar to be grain matched with the bottom. Then I'll bring it over to the CNC. First, I'll cut out the top using a simple profile cut around the shape of the top. Then I'll do the bottom first with a pocket to cut out the area for the salt, and then a profile cut to cut out the shape of the salt cellar. Again, this is not a project that you have to have a CNC for. You could do this on your jigsaw or on a bandsaw, but I like to use my CNC so I get a easy reproducible product every time. Once the CNC is finished, I'll bring it over to my router table to add a 3/16 inch round over to each of the parts on the bottom and the top of the top. I will not do that where the top and bottom can join together. I'll then make sure that each top matches the bottom for the grain match, and then I'll bring it over to sanding, which means it's time for this week's Sanding Thoughts with Duffey Woodcraft. Regardless of what your hipster friend told you, no, they did not discover the salt cellar. The salt cellar was documented as early as ancient Rome. In medieval Europe, salt was such a valuable commodity that salt cellars became a status symbol made from silver and gold, taking center stage at large banquets. In 1911, with the introduction of free-flowing salt and salt shakers, the salt cellar was left to the wayside. However, it became extremely collectible, with pieces made from silver, pewter, and glass being the top of the collectible items. Today, salt cellars can mostly be found in kitchens as decorative items or made from wood as handcrafted items. I'll use blue tape to line up the top and bottom of the salt cellar and then tape them closed so that I can drill holes for the brass pen I'm going to be using. I'm going to mark the bottom of the salt cellar as well, as I'm going to use a couple of magnets to keep the lid closed. Now I'll grab my hacksaw and I'll cut the brass pens to size. On the drill bit, I'll use some blue tape to mark the depth that I need to. You could also use a drill stop for this, but I'm just using the blue tape method. I'll be very careful while I'm drilling to make sure I don't go too deep. Then I go ahead and hammer in the brass pin into place and then do another little drill for the magnets. I'll use some CA glue at the bottom of the holes for the magnets so that they hold in nice and tight, and then I'll just press them into place with my fingers. The final step before finishing is just to hit everything with a 220 sanding block to knock off all the edges and make sure everything is nice and smooth. I'll finish the product using that food-safe tongue oil, and then once cured, I'll wipe it all down with some beeswax. And there you go, the salt cellars are finished. This is a great product to sell in multiples at your market for a discount for people who want to use the different spices. I'm using a smoked alder salt in mine, and it is wonderful. Next project is going to be trays. Now this is really great for your CNC, as you can batch these out perfectly over and over again. You don't have to use a CNC, you could use a router and a bandsaw for this, but I'm going to use the CNC because I'm going to get the perfect circle in a perfect shape every single time. I'm using Bamcor for this. It's a bamboo plywood that's three different layers, and it's going to offer some nice stability for these trays. Once the CNC is finished, I'll take these over to sanding and I'll sand it through all of the different grits, making sure to remove any of the tool marks from the CNC. Trays are one of those products that is great for any skill level. They're super easy to make and only take 1 to 3 bits depending on what you want to do. So in my case, I just use 2 bits, which is a downcut bit for my profile and a bull bit for the center. You could also use a V bit if you wanted to do some carving or words or some kind of design into the tray as well. There's tons of different options. Since it's just a simple profile cutout, you can do different designs. So you could have some puzzle pieces that fit together. You could do I've done in the past, like a Bigfoot shape foot for a Bigfoot festival. There are lots of different options that you can do with trays to fit your market and your area, the needs of your area. To finish these, all I use is a tongue oil and orange solvent mix that is completely food safe. I then also, once cured, will go ahead and wipe on a beeswax and mineral oil mix that I make here in the shop so that everything is food safe and it looks just great and is easy to continue to maintain. This week's video is brought to you by NextWave CNC, world-class CNCs built right here in the United States. I've been a partner with NextWave for just about a year now. However, I've had a CNC from them since I started 4 years ago. I cannot speak more highly of them. From great CNC machines, amazing accessories, and easy-to-use software, NextWave really takes care of you from start to finish. If you're in the market for a CNC, use my code down in the description below for an extra discount on your purchase. The code also stacks with any current promotions that NextWave is running, so it's a great time to go ahead and pick up that CNC you've been dreaming of. Our final product is whiskey smokers. Now, I'm sure you've seen this on my channel and other channels before. They're a common product that a lot of makers sell, but they do really sell well, and they're great for batched making. So on the CNC, depending on the size of white oak I have, I'll batch these out in a large quantity. So in this case, I was able to get 5 on this board that I got. I make mine at 1.5 inches thick, so that's got plenty of room for the base that goes on top of the cup, plus the reservoir where the whiskey smoker chips go into. Now, I sell these with chips that I use from this that I will run through the planer and make my own white oak chips directly from this. For packaging up my whiskey smokers, I'll go ahead and take the piece. So for my whiskey smokers, the first thing I do is I pop them out of the white oak when I cut them out on the CNC, and then they're pretty much ready to go. I'll just do a quick hand sanding around the edges just to make sure that there are no sharp points, and then they're done. I do not add finish to these. I don't think it's something you should do with your whiskey smokers since you're going to be burning. Even just mineral oils, I don't want that to be something burning and people inhaling, so I don't finish these. I do add a stainless steel mesh to the inside of the whiskey smoker so that the chips don't fall down into the glass. Speaking of the chips, I put them in a 1 ounce tin that I will then include into the packaging with it, and a piece of paper that says, congratulations, you're a new proud owner of the whiskey smoker, blah, blah, blah. But I also have QR codes to a how-to video that I created and to my Instagram. As explained on the paper, if they go to my Instagram, they can message me and I'll send them out a free refill of their chips when they run out. It's something that I like to do that just is a nice addition to for the customer, and it says thank you for purchasing directly from me when you can purchase these from a lot of different makers. To package these for my retail partners and at my markets, I order these burlap bags that have a mesh in the front, which allows you to see them. So first goes the paper goes in, then the whiskey smoker itself, so that it's nice front and center in that bag, and then I'll put the tin and close it up. And then these hang from a rack at my retail store and in my markets as well. And that's my second set of 5 products that sell really well at my markets and I sell out of regularly. I really enjoy making these products. I'd say if I was to pick my favorite one, it definitely would be my Yahtzee boxes. I love making games. It's one of my favorite things to make, and it's super easy. Plus it brings people together, and it's something I know will get used over and over again. I really enjoy making them. All right, I have a new project video coming out in 2 weeks, so I will see you then. Until then, bye-bye.